First Gen Wealth, we talk about an entrepreneur's journey to creating wealth. I've got a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues, a lot of peers that they're brought up with money and the ability to handle and figure that out. Finding dollars has always been easy. Finding a deal, making money, I can do that. What to do with it to make it continue to earn so we do have that generational wealth, that's the missing piece. We want our money that we've earned through blood, sweat, and tears to now go to work for us. So that money is making money while we're sleeping. Hello and welcome to First Gen Wealth. I'm Randy Woodworth. Today, my guest is the one and only Evan Lyons from Encore Real Estate Investment Services. Evan has had quite a journey in real estate. He's landed there at Encore again, right? Yeah. As investment specialist and absolutely knocking out of the park. Frequent contributor to some of our trade magazines. So you put that writing cap on occasion. Something I should probably do. So definitely smart guy, knows his stuff. Evan and I met trying to put a deal together. I think I called you or you called me. Who knows? This is what brokers do.
100 North Main, you mentioned it with your brother.
There you go. So that's the second time this address has come up in this podcast. Yeah. But that's right. So, you know, he was cold calling, which is something we do, or had a client, whatever, it doesn't matter. But we hit it off. Mm-hmm. Had a great conversation. I think it lasted over half an hour, that initial conversation. And then met up in Vegas at ICSC, which is a major retail conference that our industry does every year. And man, you're just passionate about what you do. Sure. And got a lot of energy and you know your shit. So I thought you'd be a great guest. So why don't you that's my version of you, right? So if you wouldn't mind, just share your story of, you know, how you got into the biz, your path and where you are now and how you've landed where you've landed. So go right ahead, man.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
You
and for what it's worth, I did mention the office build out is sweet. So
thank you.
From a standpoint of making a place that people want to come in and work and all that, I think you've nailed it.
Sweet. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So I wanted to be an attorney my whole life from the time I was like 7. And I think I lipped off enough. My parents were like, yep, okay, you can do that. So I was at Central Michigan, went to...
Fire up chips.
Yeah, yes, sir. All right. Had a degree in finance, but Central had a program that really attracted me. It was a finance degree focused in real estate and development. All these capstone classes, I mean, really cool, relevant topics about buying a hotel in Florida, buying the distressed note and completely gutting, rehabbing it, or build new. And I mean,
this was a class at Central.
These were multiple classes. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Phenomenal scope. I would love to have taken it again in life now, where you're not just learning the stuff for a test and letting it go
right
poof.
But theory, now you're practicing it.
Yeah. But you know, it was just it just inspired me, and I thought long and hard, and talked to some peers, and was like, you know what, if I can cut my teeth and create a life and a career for myself without taking $150,000 in debt and 2 years more of school, sure. Competing with guys at that time, post 2008 world, guys with 10-year books of business as attorneys were looking for gigs. So
right.
I called a family friend that is in real estate. First commercial, Bill Watch, longtime friend, very successful. Mm-hmm. Bill Watch and Warren Terrace, very successful real estate portfolio, Kroger shopping centers, that kind of thing. We went to Coney, and he said, "All right, man, you want to learn this business? Go be a broker. Your hand will be in everything." Yep. So he made a call. I did a free internship. I don't think people do those anymore.
Yeah, that's a thing of the past for sure, man.
Yeah.
But if anybody wants a free internship, holler.
You know what? It was transformative. So I did an internship at Marcus & Millichap. Great big shop, great place to learn.
Great place to learn the grind. Mm-hmm. I mean, those guys are cold calling machines, and,
yep.
and they know their stuff. So that's a great place to cut your teeth in this business.
Yeah. So I then went out to Chicago at Marcus for 5 years.
Right, wife in the belly of the beast.
It was. I mean, no joke. My wife and I were sitting on the front porch, post college football game, couple libations, going, okay, we could be broke at home as a broker, but save a couple dollars. Or we could be really broke in Chicago and go have an experience. And we booked it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Man, does that light a fire in you when you got rent and a need and a long pathway to that first big commission rip. We lived off of Groupon. My father was a painting contractor's own company that he started from the ground up, and I would fly out on the weekends, Friday night, to whatever town he was in. He painted all of Eileen Fisher. It's a high-end women's clothes store.
Okay.
He painted all their stores all over, got it down to like 3 boxes that he'd ship out there. I'd hit where he is, some town. We'd paint through the night, Friday night, Saturday night. Wake up by 2 p.m. and go see the town together. But by Sunday night, I had my rent.
Yeah.
That was...
That's awesome. Get your lunch money so you can go back to work.
There you go. Yeah.
That's the grind, though. That's the grind in the beginning. It's tough. So from there,
moved back home. We wanted to be close to family and
Sure.
and all that stuff, and jumped on with the Encore guys. I was there for about 5 years. Then I deviated in the heat and thick of
because you were crushing it.
It was high growth years, year after year.
Well, and I think that's what led to your transition. You were crushing it for one of your clients, correct? And they kind of headhunted you a little bit there.
So their president of 20 years had left, and a really phenomenal guy he joined as a principal in a development company to do some really cool creative developments down in Dayton. And private family real estate company, they had a need, and we had built that rapport and trust, and I knew the portfolio and their goals pretty well, and so he had asked me to come help run the company, and we're talking September, no, it was midsummer of 21.
Yeah.
Peak, slap a cap rate, sell it quickly. But you talked in previous podcast about growth, about having something in you, and for me, the jump to this opportunity was much less about money. Frankly, it was a pay cut.
Sure.
But it was a hell of a lot about learning the other side, being more than single track. Hey, are you buying or selling? Call me when I can sell for you. And more, I wanted to see the thick of the value add deal that I have pitched and sold to people and then resold 3 years later when they successfully did it.
Right.
And so I went and got my damn near degree in landlord.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For 15 months, managed a 3.5 million square foot portfolio of office, industrial, 45 shadow anchored shopping centers to Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, Kroger, 23 storage facilities, which they own and operate the business.
Oh, wow.
It was an incredible experience, but one of the biggest takeaways was learning about myself, junkie for a deal, and
hell yeah. We love the deal junkies around here, man.
It's
like my brother said, it's a drug, man. You're addicted to that deal that next deal. So I get it. But
it's so, we second shift in my house. I have a 2-year-old and another one on the way. Second shift in my house is a common theme. It's it's important for me to come home and be with my family. Massive perspective change. We could talk about that, I think, for hours too. But
sure.
People are here to learn. Come home, have the dinner, have some time with family. Yeah. But I don't even think twice about 8:30 p.m. I did it last night, 8:30 to 2 in the morning, just hammering emails, hunting for deals. Shift. Yeah, I guess.
You're on 3 shifts. So
yeah.
One shift in the office, second shift with the family, and then the third shift tying up all the loose ends.
Second shift isn't work.
That's true.
If you love what you do. So
yeah.
And then so to summarize me, and then we'll keep going. But looked within myself, definitely understood that I wanted to continue the brokerage world. I was successful at it. It was a big thing too, as a path to invest. I'm good at it, so it's a great cash flow generator. That was my thing. I didn't need other opportunities to be this revenue generator, and so stick to what you know. I jumped back with Encore in October, and it's been back to the races.
You've been doing gangbusters. So Evan does a lot of big deals, manages or helps some clients manage their portfolios, builds up investment grade real estate. You mentioned value add. So when we say that, it's basically means a property that needs a little love, whether that's love through new tenants, love through rehab, or both. You can add value, so we refer to that as value add property, and that's kind of where my sweet spot is. We hunt for that and do those deals all the time. So from a macro level, you are doing some major deals with some big players with some pretty big pocketbooks. They've got the ability to, whether it's through a 1031 exchange or just cash on the sidelines, pull the trigger on some pretty fantastic deals. So probably their second generation wealth or their third generation wealth, or have been very successful at building their first generation. So I kind of want to dive into what that path forward looks like for, I don't care what age you are, it doesn't matter. You're always like 7 years away from having a decent sized real estate portfolio from whatever moment you start. So whether you're 40, 20, or 60, you can still do it. And kind of building that roadmap for somebody to get to a point where now they're dealing with these investment grade properties and able to pull triggers on some big stuff. So from my perspective and what I tell, and I'll kind of just talk young people for the moment, because I'm running it with my son right now, who's 24 years old, 25, I don't know.
Great.
He's 20 years younger than me. So
sure,
however old I am, he's that. But so he bought a duplex, lives in one side, with the duplex thing.
House hack.
Yeah, exactly. Huge hack. I mean, your barrier to entry is like extremely low, especially around this market where you can buy duplexes for 80, 90, 100,000 and get them for 3.5% down because you're living there. So your cost to entry is like $3,500. You can hustle, you can do what you got to do to find that, get into a duplex. So now, you've got a $700, $800 a month. We'll use 800 because 800 times 12 is basically 10,000, right? So you're saving that because your next door neighbor is paying your mortgage. Yep. So your typical rent payment can go in the bank. So $10,000 a year. Yeah, there's some expenses. We're just going to use some round math. But so after 2 years, theoretically, if you're diligent about saving, you're going to have $20,000 that you would typically apply to rent. Yep. So in 2 years, now you've got 20% down, $20,000 on a second duplex. Yep. So now you've got 1, 2, 3 that you don't own, right? That you're not living in, units paying you. And that second duplex can run the same model. One side pays the expenses. So now you have 2 assets producing $10,000 a year. So now it only takes 1 year. You're in year 3 and you got another $20,000. You can buy the third duplex.
Or sell the 2 as a portfolio to someone else.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. You get to like year 5, it's exactly right. And you've got a package of 10, 12 units.
Maybe they're all on the same street, some sort of economies of scale.
Anywhere, and I think in the same community would make sense, because from a management standpoint, it's pretty simple as long as you're within like a 3, 4, and 5 mile radius of each other. Yep. But you've got something you can now apply a cap rate to, rather than just the height and width of the building times a square footage price. It's now a cap value, meaning there's a net operating income that we can apply a market cap rate to and accelerate your sale price, and then roll it through a 1031 vehicle into something bigger. So just so I don't keep talking, would you, in a 3-minute span, describe or less what a 1031 is for the people that don't know?
Sure. It's a tax deferment, not abatement. Deferment meaning pushing the tax bill out for a future period of time.
It's indefinite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an indefinite period of time because as
Till
long
you-
as you never sell, you never pay.
Correct. It's a tax deferment program that you can sell a property, and as long as you stick to a specific type of criteria or timeline, you can purchase another property without having to pay taxes on the gain from the previous asset. Very quickly, because anybody can Google this. You sell the property, you've got 45 days to identify your the next property you're going to purchase, and then you have a total of 180 days to close on that property. It needs to be a like-kind exchange. There are servicer companies that are incredible that'll make sure that you're following those rules. Yep. But the reason I think you bring that up is it's extremely relevant in our business. 45 days can feel quick. It is quick to find properties. So to communicate with a broker well ahead of either the sale or and just doing some of that planning is huge. To have someone spending every day looking for those deals so that you don't have to.
And that 45 days starts on the closing of whatever it is you're trying to do the exchange on.
Correct.
So you can have that time period and build up through marketing of whatever asset you're going to sell.
Sure.
Through the period of due diligence, through the inspection period, and then the closing. So you're buying yourself 30, 60 days on top of that 45. So go ahead.
So and then you can rinse and repeat. A lot of our clients have, yes, the downside after you sell one building, buy a bigger, then sell another building, buy a bigger. The downside is sure you have a larger gain over a period of a few transactions. But many folks will do such a thing until, we've got clients that are 95 years old and they're like, well, I could sell, but I've got 30 tax deferments from prior years, and so my kids are going to get this, and there's a tax benefit there that wipes at least a good portion of it out.
A good portion of it. So kind of what we're recapping and saying is you can build this thing slowly with small, manageable bites into a portfolio that can be sold, tax deferred. I don't want to say tax free, but it is tax deferred, but it's tax deferred for your lifetime if you don't ever sell. And then again, roll it again. So if you take, in that duplex portfolio we were describing, maybe got up to, with an NOI and a decent cap rate, maybe $700,000. Yep. Now you can go, you've got to buy something $700,000 or greater, but you've got all that profit that you don't have to, at least that year or any year if you don't sell the next one, pay your tax, your capital gains. And more importantly, the depreciation recapture, because the beautiful thing with real estate is that duplex that's shooting off that income in your pocket is also depreciating from a tax perspective and writing down a big portion of that, so you're not paying tax on all that profit every year.
Including all the major improvements you make to the home. You put in new flooring, you do paint, exterior, all that. That's, it's a beautiful thing. But same goes for, so everybody can start, but I think at scale, there's so many similarities to what you're doing, right? So you take this, you buy a beautiful building downtown Owasso that needs to be repurposed. We're sitting in an office, which is yours, which is great. And I think that's the beautiful part about it, is that so much of the real estate vehicle rolls into one another.
In talking about this particular building, we're sitting and opening up a whole nother line, an opportunity zone. And so,
there you go. Yeah.
So the guy that, maybe has worked and has a nice nest egg from a 401k or a pension or whatever the heck it is, and he's got a significant amount saved up and has saw a little bit of turmoil in the last couple of years, maybe wants to shift into a hard asset. You can do that through, a self-directed IRA, or investing into an opportunity zone, which operates just like a 1031 vehicle. Yep. You don't have those capital gains taxes. So it's not just a situation where, you've got to be young and buying some duplex, because not everybody wants that. You can come in with a larger chunk and get started. But the point is, it doesn't take anything but action and activity to go from nothing in this game, in this real estate game, to being a major player in 7 to 10 years.
Got to set your goals, and I'd be remiss and a hypocrite if I didn't say. I mean, that's my kryptonite. Was, you know, I if you ask me what keeps me up at night, it's hearing people in podcasts who are successful say that they wish they would have started earlier, and then letting that just kind of go out of fear, right?
Yeah.
You work so hard to build a war chest. There are plenty of deals that I passed on that I should have done. I don't believe in living in hindsight in this in our business.
Yeah, you got to keep moving.
But you can look at it, recognize it, and figure out what you're going to change and capitalize on in the future. And so,
you've done that. You've been getting involved in some deals.
Have invested in some deals, strategic partnerships. This is we probably don't even have the time to dive into this, but I'll just put this out there for a future idea and maybe your comment.
Your next trip up here, maybe.
There you go. The concept behind whether it is more strategic to take 100% of a deal so that you minimize partnerships, you have full control, and sort of saving that war chest until you do that, or leveraging a couple strategic partnerships. Maybe you can do a deal faster, maybe you can do more, maybe there's some value everybody adds. And then the flip side of that is doing a deal with no money of your own, but having the skill set in the capital stack to fully go out and syndicate, because those are three very different strategies.
Absolutely. And that's another half hour.
It is.
Because and quite frankly, I got into playing in the big pool, right? The big kid sandbox through the third option you said, was just none of my own money.
Okay.
I brought sweat. I knew how to get tenants. I could manage construction, right? Mm-hmm. Now I did the duplex thing too. That's a slow roll.
Right.
Coming in with a plan, and that's the thing is the plan and the goal setting, like you said. So I presented a plan on a building to somebody that had a big war chest.
There you go.
And I said, this is what I want. Now he cut 10% off of it, but he gave it to me, right? So I ended up with 20% of a deal that I put none of my own money in. And we ended up selling that for I think we bought it for like 400. We put $1.2 million into it and sold it for 3.5. And I got my payday.
I got buddies doing it all over. Yep. A guy I went to high school with, Sean Graham, Maven Storage, same thing.
Oh yeah.
Started with a house hack in Chicago. You probably got a cold call from him because he's.
Oh yeah, I do. I get the emails all the time. Yeah.
he started with a house hack in Chicago. I think he's got an accounting background, and he was like, oh, I got to get out from under this desk. Yep. Chicago house hack, built some equity, had some powder. Hunted, called me and said, yeah, I'm getting into storage. I'm like, oh, sweet. What do you, oh, it's just me and some equity I'm sourcing. Really? Okay. And you fast forward to 2 years later, maybe it's 3 now, but guy's got a freaking portfolio of qualified storage, good deals. I know storage, but I fire deals to him because his systems are set up, and he will underwrite and give value. He knows his demos, he knows his metrics, he knows what a marketplace is capable for, and that is a perfect example of a guy
OPM
that starts just I'm jumping
money.
In. Yeah. I'm jumping in. Some other people's money. He puts in some of his own equity, but totally different strategy from the reason I bring that up is do it yourself and 100% full control was sort of pounded in my head by really successful people early on.
It's a slower growth model.
It's a much slower growth model.
Yeah, but it's got a bigger payoff.
It does.
Potentially.
I land in the strategic partnerships, minimize them, but have them, give equity to the folks, based on their pro rata, right? You get paid for the value you create. So what do you bring to the table? And
but it's not about how much you own. It's about how much you control.
Yeah.
So you can be a minority or, have the same skin in the game or percentage of a deal. But if you're a controlling partner, it kind of gives you the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But in order to be the controlling partner, you've got to be the one hunting, putting it together, sourcing, putting all the puzzle pieces together.
Yep.
It's a fun industry that we're in, dude. Like there's
You got
so
options.
many ways.
Yeah.
Like whatever you feel excited about, one year you can make money on, and then that gets boring and you can go and totally shift and do something else. I mean, you're a perfect case study of that, right? Making money the entire time. But I'm proud of you for now because you're a generator, man. You can make money. You can sell deals and get commissions, like crushing that. Like didn't you do like 200 million in your first run with Encore or something like that?
Yeah.
So figure out a commission rate and times it by 200 million. The dude made some money. So you're able to put a little bit of capital away. But now, putting that to work so that you're not grinding it.
Turning the little war chest strategically into
That's the key, man.
to a Randy war
and I'm glad.
chest.
Yeah, no. My war chest is like, what do we say? Cash poor and property rich, right? Equity rich.
It's an okay place to be.
Yeah.
I hear
So
you.
because whenever we have powder, meaning cash, we deploy it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't need any crap. You know what I mean? I don't want to spend it. I got what I need. Every now and then, sure, I'll treat myself, but more importantly, treat my wife or my children. But really, if we stack it up in a savings account or anywhere, it's just going to leak out and disappear because you find ways to spend it. But if you deploy it and put it in something hard asset you can't touch, you're protecting yourself against yourself, and that's what I've been doing for years.
Makes you a few bucks along the way.
It makes a few dollars, yeah. Yep. So that's
cool.
awesome, man. That's awesome. So, all right. And I try to keep these podcasts under 30 minutes because I've got ADHD and I don't have the attention span for it.
Commuter podcast.
Yeah.
Listen to one in the morning and go.
I like that. We're going to hashtag commuter podcast now. That's what we're going to have to do, guys. I'm looking over at the film crew here. So anything like lingering in your brain as I try to wrap this up that we definitely need to touch on. And remember our audience. We're obviously talking to guys in our industry because they're going to be watching because you're a good looking dude and I'm even better looking and they're going to want to tune in. But really the message I'm trying to get out there to people is the guys that don't know where to start and how are they going to take their income that they're earning from whatever job it is, doesn't matter, and make it produce some cash.
Sure. Should you decide it's in real estate, which I think is it's a viable opportunity. I think the first means is go and ask, right? Do some research. Who are your local people in your marketplace that are moving and shaking? Who's the old timer? What signs do you see out in front of buildings? A brokerage shop will talk to you all day because maybe they think they can get you in a desk somewhere. A leasing place will do the same. One of my greatest joys, and I think a lot of us do that. Maybe it's out of ego. I don't know. My way to like genuinely give back, because I don't think I do enough in the community, is I will always take the time on the phone with someone that I think is a budding real estate individual or just has questions about a new prospect. I mean, that's why I'll do deals with a guy that's done 100 deals, and I'll do deals with a first-time investor all day long because I think that it's fun to watch that growth. So I think there's always an opportunity to tap local resources and have them help you. Half the reason I do these is because I love the engagement and the conversation that it ignites with a like-minded individual. I mean, this is going to end in 30 minutes, but we're going to sit around and then
100%.
dive into the rest. And,
we've got a few things to talk about for sure.
I didn't drive up to Owasso to not pick your brain. I mean, that's,
So he hit it. I mean, the old adage, your net worth is your network is your net worth. You've heard that?
Yeah. Okay.
So you basically said that. Talk to people. So go out. Who's doing what is it you're interested in, and talk to those people. You can't be afraid to engage, and you can't be afraid to take some action that's going to end up setting you up for the rest of your life.
And I don't mean necessarily sitting at home and using a computer to research. Yes, there should be certainly some of that, but we almost have too much access to information behind the desk or laying in bed that it could be a detriment in this business. This business is without a doubt a network, prop one another up, knowledge business. Someone that doesn't have an eye for a type of deal brings in someone else for an eye with a type of deal or has a different angle. I mean, it's the reason some of the biggest, baddest folks in our towns do deals together.
100%.
I mean, so getting out there and, I mean, really just through that conversation affecting the person on the other side of the table that's giving you the time, I think it's next level. You don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. And you can get overwhelmed with the amount of information. It's like information overload. And it's nice to have a cup of coffee face to face, like it's maybe, 1996 or something. Yeah. And really learn from and ask the questions from somebody that's done it, that's been there. Mm-hmm. And that's available because we love what we do. Everybody in our industry, for the most part, loves what they do and they love talking about it.
Sure.
And because we're brokers and we're commission based, we love having new conversations and building our network.
To a fault.
So, all right, man, that, this thing, we're just scratching the surface here, and we're gonna have to plow back into this in a couple more episodes, and I'm sure I'll have you up again. But Commuter Podcast, trying to keep it locked down. So with that, I'm gonna wrap it, man. I have so much more to say, so stay tuned for the next podcast. Evan, thank you so much for coming up, man. Evan Lyons, Encore Real Estate Investment Services, absolute rock star. I'm Randy Woodworth. This has been First Gen Wealth Podcast. Tune in next Wednesday at noon. I'm not sure what the topic's going to be, but it's going to be awesome.